What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto was a game developer in Marvel Part 2. Now, let's begin. He accomplished it. At last. Kek. Without Peter's influence, he likely would not have taken that action, quite amusingly. I would appreciate having a friend like Peter to assist me in obtaining the cover as well. Peter is likely a martial arts fighter in real life. Viewers engaged in a lively discussion on Ned's livestream chat while observing him complete the defeat of the Ender Dragon alongside Peter. At first, there was skepticism regarding their ability to defeat the Ender Dragon, particularly given the perception of Ned's gaming skills. However, his livestreams were quite entertaining, as viewers appreciated his humor and the amusing reactions he displayed when faced with defeat. This led the majority of his viewers to believe that defeating the Ender Dragon would be an unattainable feat for him. However, it was surprising to see Peter perform at such a high level. Peter demonstrated exceptional reflexes. He consistently demonstrated an acute awareness of impending threats, skillfully evading monster attacks with precise timing. At that moment, more than 5,000 individuals were engaged with Ned's livestream. A number of players expressed interest in understanding the implications of the dragon's demise and the significance of the key mentioned in the game. At last, Ned expressed his joy as he observed the dragon's demise. We have successfully accomplished our goal. Peter exhibited great enthusiasm as he approached Ned, observing the dragon disintegrate in midair while expressing his excitement vocally. Upon the dragon's demise, a significant amount of experience points descended from above, leading to a rapid increase in both players' levels. However, they remained indifferent to this development, as they believed that the game would conclude following the dragon's defeat. "Hello Peter, I believe that is the dragon's egg," Ned exclaimed with enthusiasm as he approached the egg. "Impressive. That is quite substantial. Will a dragon emerge from this? Is it possible for us to ride dragons?" Peter expressed his enthusiasm as he observed the egg with great interest and began to whisk it to extract its contents. "Please hold on," Ned shouted in alarm, stopping Peter from proceeding with the egg beating process. What if the egg were to break and never be seen again? Peter was taken aback by this revelation. So what are our next steps?" he inquired, looking perplexed. "We can overcome this challenge," Ned remarked with enthusiasm as he picked up an item Peter had never encountered before. A participant in Hypixel informed me that obtaining the egg correctly requires a piston. What is this? I was unaware that this item was available. I was about to break my egg without realizing it. Which player provided you with that information? Peter inquired with enthusiasm. It was Notch, Ned remarked with a smile as he began positioning stone blocks beneath the egg prior to placing the piston. Ah, so it was Notch. It appears that Notch possesses an exceptional awareness of all matters. Affirmative. 2 days ago, I expressed my frustration about not being able to find diamonds. However, I was informed that Layer 13 is where diamonds are most abundant. I then entered my world, dug down to Layer 13, and after mining for 5 minutes, I successfully found a diamond. Within a short time frame, I acquired multiple diamond tools. I'm here as well. At one point, I inquired among fellow players about the purpose of redstone, but no one had any information. It wasn't until Notch intervened that we learned it could be used to create vending machines. Subsequently, I gathered a significant amount of redstone and consulted the cookbook. It became evident that there were numerous blocks I was previously unaware of, and indeed, they functioned as machines. Is it possible to create machines in Minecraft? What accounts for Notch's extensive knowledge? Perhaps he participated for an extended duration. Did he gather all the blocks and review the cookbook? However, that does not clarify how he is aware that Layer 13 contains a greater quantity of diamonds. Does he work at the Minecraft company? It is indeed achievable. He consistently appears to possess comprehensive knowledge. However, the update suggested that all employees are referred to as _Jeb. Closing square bracket. Do you really believe that Minecraft was developed by a single individual? We have successfully achieved our goals. Peter expressed his enthusiasm as he observed the small dragon egg gently resting on the ground following the activation of the piston. We are pleased to announce that we can finally acquire our dragon cape. Ned expressed his enthusiasm as he hurriedly picked up the egg from the ground to examine it. "I propose we visit Hypixel." Peter and Ned promptly disconnected from their server and established a connection to Hypixel. During that period, the square was bustling with activity, with thousands of players navigating from one location to another. Some engaged in conversation, while others focused on the leaderboards to check the standings of wins in the 2 minigames available on the server. The number of players has significantly increased in recent days, which has generated considerable excitement for Hypixel. Despite the presence of thousands on the server, the city continues to expand, ensuring that players never experience a sense of overcrowding. Upon connecting to the server, a warning was displayed to all players. "Congratulations to Ned the King and P. Parker for achieving the milestone of being the first to defeat the Ender Dragon." 3 warnings resonated, prompting the Hypixel players to pause briefly before erupting in excitement. "Does anyone have it? Could it have been Ned? Wow, could you please inform me of his whereabouts? Did he truly achieve it? I regret to inform you that I lost the bet." Ned was widely recognized as a leading Minecraft streamer, with nearly all players familiar with his name. Many had either discovered the game through him or learned about him from friends who introduced them to it, and they were aware that he had been attempting to defeat the Ender Dragon 4 days prior. Upon their arrival in Hypixel alongside Peter, players promptly identified them by their nicks and skins, and soon began to extend their congratulations for achieving the first dragon kill. Some players were even kneeling before him as if he were a true king, which further enhanced Ned's smile. As he raised his hand, showcasing a small purple egg, the players fell silent, parting to allow him passage, their eyes filled with anticipation. It was widely believed that the egg held the crucial element for accessing the server portal. Naruto implemented the feature allowing players to bring the Ender Dragon egg to the server, making it a standard practice for him to do so following the defeat of the monster. Ned was filled with excitement as he approached the large purple portal that had previously been unutilized, while thousands of players observed him with keen interest. A significant number of gamers promptly logged out of Minecraft to tune into Ned's livestream, eager to discover what lay beyond the portal, resulting in a viewership that exceeded 9,000 individuals. Upon reaching the portal, Ned observed a small white altar constructed from quartz blocks. With great precision, he and Peter handled the dragon's egg and gently positioned it on the altar. Upon contact with the white quartz block on the altar, the egg emitted a purple light, resulting in a complete transformation of the purple portal. The large purple portal with stone edges has transformed into 2 imposing obsidian dragons that converge in a circular formation, enhancing its majestic appearance. A purple light illuminated Ned and Peter, revealing black and purple cloaks adorned with a dragon head on their backs in a striking manner, captivating the attention of players. Some players were tempted to disconnect from Hypixel immediately to defeat the Ender Dragon and obtain a similar cape, but they exercised restraint and chose to remain to observe the unfolding events. However, the most significant revelation for them occurred prior to Ned's entrance through the portal. Before Ned could proceed through the portal, a new notification emerged for all players. "Congratulations to Crawler, Summers, Kitty, Jean, and Anna for successfully defeating the Ender Dragon. Unfortunately, we were not the first." A teenager's voice resonated from the spawn, captivating Hypixel players with its unexpected presence. They were already taken aback to discover that someone had previously defeated the Ender Dragon, but then another group emerged claiming to have accomplished the same feat. "Congratulations to Princess, Melage 1 foot, Melage 2 feet, Melage 3 feet, and Melage 4 feet for their successful defeat of the Ender Dragon. Were we the third group?" A youthful female voice resonated in spawn. At this juncture, the players were increasingly astonished. It was not sufficient for 2 groups to have defeated the Ender Dragon simultaneously, now there was a third group involved as well. Who were the individuals referred to as 1, 2, 3, and 4? Did these individuals take the time to select a name for themselves? Ned and Peter were taken aback as they observed the 2 groups approaching. The first group was typical, consisting of 2 boys and 3 girls, which aligned closely with what one might expect. However, the second group exhibited quite unusual characteristics. 4 women surrounded a girl, resembling her bodyguards even within the game. As this princess, genuinely a legitimate princess? A player inquired of his companion as they observed the group nearing. I believe that is the case. Perhaps the women in her vicinity are without the girl's bodyguards. The acquaintance responded, I am eager to pursue a relationship with someone who embodies the qualities of a princess. I wonder if she would consider me as a suitable partner. The player stated with a light-hearted expression. In Minecraft, she certainly has an appealing appearance, take a look over there. His colleague remarked while gesturing towards Princess. Please be silent. I would even consider being her loyal companion if she truly embodies the qualities of a princess. A fellow player remarked with a smile. It is amusing to consider who might be interested in you as a pet. Another player chuckled upon hearing this. However, they soon ceased their conversation as they observed the two groups approaching steadily. I would appreciate it if I could receive my cape at your earliest convenience. Kitty expressed her enthusiasm as she moved purposefully towards the altar. Kurt and Scott wore satisfied smiles, knowing they weren't the first to defeat the Ender Dragon. They noticed that Ned and Peter, adorned in dragon cloaks, had yet to enter the portal, allowing them the opportunity to proceed together and explore what awaited on the other side. Shuri and the Dora Milaje approached the altar with confidence to collect their cloaks. Shuri displayed a broad smile, eagerly anticipating the cover, while the Dora Milaje maintained a stoic demeanor, appearing as if they were emotionless figures. Upon arriving at the portal, Shuri decided to allow Kurt's group to utilize the altar first, as they had defeated the dragon prior to her team. This cover is truly impressive. Kitty expressed her enthusiasm as she turned to observe her cloak in motion. Jean and Anna exchanged glances at the covers, their expressions reflecting satisfaction and delight. The three girls had changed their outfits to black and purple to complement their capes, enhancing their appearance. In contrast, Kurt and Scott, dressed in casual attire, appeared somewhat out of place beside the three elegantly dressed girls. After this group took their capes, Shuri and the Milaje did as well, and they looked just as gorgeous as the other girls. Milaje, in particular, appeared much more fearsome when wearing the capes, and Shuri, who, for some reason, looked sweeter in this cape color. Players were astounded to see so many attractive women, by Minecraft's default, donning capes in front of them. Both the three girls from the second group and the 5 females from the third group were able to capture the attention of everyone around them. Shall we go through the portal? Shuri smiled at the other two groups. Let's go. Kurt and Peter exclaimed in unison, turning to face each other and laughing. With a single step, their perspective transformed to something utterly unexpected on the opposite side, leaving them and Ned's livestream viewers stunned. But if these players were surprised, there was one who was much more astounded. A person flying in the invisible sky was stunned. Naruto had no idea what reality he was in until now, but after he saw the names of these people, Ned, Peter, Crawler, Summers, Jean, Kitty, Anna, and, most importantly, Milaje, he recognized who they were and what universe he was in. This universe had mutants, and Anna couldn't touch anyone. Naruto thought this weird, but not too shocking. Professor was a wheelchair user who happened to be Anna's teacher, which was only a fortunate coincidence. However, after Naruto saw everyone's names combined, he understood something was wrong. When he saw the Milaje and realized they were black women with military training, he was finally able to put all the pieces together. Milaje, Wakanda, was the only place in the cosmos where black women with military training existed. And for Wakanda to exist, Naruto knew only one universe, and in that universe, there was also a Ned, a Peter, and a group of special children who fit right in with Anna's. The Marvel Universe. Holy crap. When the players walked through the portal, they were astounded. What was on the other side was considerably different from the main metropolis of Hypixel. In fact, for someone used to playing in Minecraft's VR environment, it was much more terrifying. Ned wasn't sure what to do. He was at the time on a floating island in the middle of nowhere, and as he glanced around, he noticed a gateway on another floating island nearby. Wow, what is this? Is Ned banned from Hypixel? Can Ned break the island? You idiot, if he breaks, he will fall and die. Closing square bracket. No idiot, In Hypixel no one can break or place blocks, as this island Ned's private world. A place where he can build a house and have friends. This makes sense. Closing square bracket. Damn, after fighting Ender Dragon, you have a house in Hypixel. I have to kill Dragon. Maybe I should go to that portal. Ned inquired in the chat. That portal doesn't look like the portal I came here for. Maybe it will take me somewhere else. Perhaps. It may be. Punch, punch, punch. Ned moved quickly and broke the tree with his hands. Wow, he really did shatter the tree. It can truly establish a home in Hypixel. Damn, I want a house, too. But Ned wasn't thinking about a location to break and create in Hypixel, but rather in that portal. Ned was intrigued by where this portal could bring him, so he used the wood from the tree to build a bridge to the other floating island and crossed through the portal. On the other side of the doorway, something even more unexpected appeared. Instead of the generic residences in the standard Hypixel hub, the structures here were considerably larger and more realistic. Ned could see a bank, a massive farm, and an auction house, all of which he had only seen in role-playing games. Damn, Minecraft has turned into an MMORPG. My gosh, this is incredible. I want to play, too. Please play with me, and let's kill Ender Dragon. Ned was startled into position, simply staring from side to side, wondering about this new environment. Until he noticed that there were already 7 participants in one location. Are you chatting to a villager? As Ned neared, he noticed that some of the other players had also entered the portal. Princess, Formulaje, Kitty, and Summers. Look, another player has arrived. Kitty exclaimed eagerly, waving at Ned. What are you doing here? Ned questioned, perplexed. Have you guys found out anything about this place yet? So far, we haven't found out much. This villager said he'll wait for the other players to arrive to explain it to us. Kitty responded to this with a grin. Does the villager speak? Ned inquired, astonished. Yes, the villager responded, not much interested. Wow, Ned exclaimed, sighing. Damn, is this AI? Damn, I didn't realize I could speak to the villagers. I tried this before, but they wouldn't respond. I believe this villager is special. Within minutes, the remaining players appeared. Finally, the villager returned his attention to the players and began to speak. Welcome to the Hypixel Skyblock experience. As the first players, you were given the right to have a guide with you. Initially it was supposed to be just a group, but as you came together it will be easier to explain to everyone at once. The villager began with a statement. Here in Hypixel Skyblock, each skill has a level. The higher your skill level, the better your proficiency. For example, come to the mine. Players followed the villager, passing through a vast library with an enchanting table in the center and a forge where several villagers were laboring to create products. The villager tossed Ned a wooden pickaxe and said, "Take it." Ned took it as a reflex. "What do I do with this?" The villager responded, "Break the coal." Ned didn't think much, just mined the coal. There dropped 2 coals, but instead of an empty space where the ore had been, a slab of bedrock appeared. Okay, now what? Ned asked, perplexed. The villager took Ned's pickaxe and broke another block of coal, saying, "Your mining level is 1, my mining level is 100. Look at the difference." To the surprise of Ned's team and viewers, more than 50 coals fell from where the block was broken, rather than merely 2, as Ned had predicted. Ned was flabbergasted. "Damn, how do you do that?" Kitty exclaimed enthusiastically. "It's simple. The more you mine, the higher your mining level gets, and the more monsters you kill, the higher your combat level gets, and this applies to all abilities. Come with me," the villager stated as he headed back to the middle of town. Once there, the villager gave each player 2 coals. Each item you get can be sold for Hypixel coins, that is, the higher your skill level, the more coins you can earn. With the coins you can buy divine swords, blessed pickaxes, mythical armor. It all depends on the money that you have or if you prefer, you can make these items with whatever resources you can and sell it to other players. Kurt exclaimed, "Damn, can I get that powerful?" Scott said, astonished. But then villager stated something that jarred these players' minds. Mayor elections will take place in 21 days. Players will elect a mayor, and the mayor can make requests to the game creators. These requests can be exchanged for money for himself or even make the game harder. As long as it's not impossible, developers will do their best to meet the demands. According to the villager, holy crap. Fuck, I want to be mayor. I want to play. But no one was more startled and pleased than Ned, who saw the opportunity to become king of Minecraft for the first time. At the time, nearly 20,000 people were watching Ned's livestream. Shield's control over Minecraft news had ended that day. A new game that came out a few weeks ago is becoming an internet phenomenon. Thousands of players are trying it out and at least 9 out of 10 people say they've never played something this fun. But because of this unknown game, many influential people are starting to say that this could be a danger, as so far they don't have any information about the company that developed the game. Today we're going to interview the biggest influencer of this game. According to him, he was the first person to buy Minecraft. And according to the thousands of viewers who watch his live streams on the internet, this really is a true fact. Game item in real life. Ned Leeds, or better known as Ned the King, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed on our channel. The reporter smiled as she looked at Ned. Hi guys, Ned remarked, smiling as he stared at the camera. If this were Ned from a few weeks ago, he'd either be too enthusiastic or too shy to say anything, but after live streaming to tens of thousands of people, he's gotten used to having so many people watching him. Is that the one you got for killing the dragon in the game? The reporter inquired. Hearing this, Ned smiled and rose forward to show off his cloak. Yes, I got this cloak for being the first to kill the dragon, with my friend Peter. It's pretty, isn't it? The reporter looked at Ned and the cover, and although Ned isn't a lovely teenager, wearing that black cover with purple made him look more elegant. It's like taking a typical lad and dressing him up in a fancy suit. It definitely looks better. Absolutely, but I have a question. How did you get this cover? She said. That, for those who don't know, when you start playing Minecraft you just sit in your chair and it's like your conscience goes to another world. And after I left the game, the cover was in my hands, as if had gone out with me when I left the world. Ned groaned as he held onto the cloak. It really looks like something magical. Do you happen to have any clue who the creator of Minecraft is? The reporter responded with, initially I thought about the possibility of it being Stark Industries, but the more I played, the more I realized that this technology was still way ahead of the Stark technology, so I started thinking a lot and discovered a person who might be the creator of Minecraft. Ned was cocky. And who would that person be? Maybe it's Hummer Industries, or Oscorp. Neither is actually a person with unknown real identity. The only thing I know is his Minecraft nickname. Ned responded with a breath of relief. And this may not even be the real creator of the game. And why do you think this person is the creator of Minecraft? Said the reporter. When all the players were lost, he always seemed to be someone who knows the answer. When someone asks something that no one knows, he's the person who knows. Ned's words were sincere. I see, and what would his name be? The reporter inquired. Notch. Ned said, smiling. Guys, is Notch really the creator of Minecraft? Kurt asked his companions, who were also dressed in a black cape with purple. I think it's possible, at least in the few interactions I've had with him, he's always seemed to know more than the others, just like. Scott was about to keep describing when he was interrupted. Like who? If I may ask the question. Professor Xavier smiled as he entered the living room where they were conversing. What surprised the students was that Professor Xavier, Mrs. Munro, and Hank were all smiling while wearing the cape on their backs, and Logan was obviously using his cape as a rag to open a drink rather than carrying it on his back. Professors, did you also kill Ender Dragon? Kitty inquired, astonished. Ha ha ha. Yes, we decided to use Minecraft to be able to train unarmed and powerless combat, and I have to say, it's really refreshing. It's been a while since I needed to hold a sword. Aurora grinned. Humph, those bad swords, if I had my claws, we would have killed that lizard a lot faster. Logan snorted before downing the bottle he was carrying. That, I didn't expect you guys to be playing Minecraft, Jean commented, astonished. Initially, we started playing to see if the game was dangerous or not, but it turned out that we started having fun there and decided to get this cover too. Xavier laughed and replied, yes. We even think that Minecraft can be recommended for all students to train unarmed combat, so they don't become dependent on their own powers. Especially in Hunger Games mode, which pushes a person to the limit. Logan handed Hank a transparent bottle of crimson liquid, saying, "Humph, that's just a child's game. Take it here. I got the strength potion this week. Try studying it to see if it's safe," he added before turning around and going to the kitchen for more beer. He was in the top 20 at the Hunger Games. Kurt asked, surprised. Yeah, he actually came in second because of his instincts, only losing to one person. Xavier gave an answer. For whom? Scott inquired, astonished to find that Logan had lost to someone. Xavier responded, you guys already know this person. Sabretooth. What, is he playing that, too? The students said in surprise. Sir, that's what we got. A red-haired woman gave a black and purple fabric to a black man wearing an eye patch. Romanoff, what did you find out about this cover? Nick Fury inquired as he examined the cover. We had installed cameras all over the place to see where this cover would come from, especially if someone came personally to put the cover there, but it really was like that kid described in the interview, it's like the cover is always there. We noticed that the cover just popped out of nowhere in our hand as soon as we disconnected from the game. Natasha began to tell us how she felt and what it reminded her of. Plus, we tried to recreate this cover and discovered something unique, she said seriously. Which is? Fury inquired, raising an eyebrow. As much as the same person wears this cape or the cape we've recreated perfectly, the viewer's reaction is different. It's like this cape is enchanted with some kind of magic to make it more beautiful. Natasha recounted every detail she observed. You mean this cape has something like a charm, and that it really makes people see who wears it as prettier? Fury was indignantly asking, why would someone do something useless like that? But when it comes to potions, we got 4 strength potions and 2 lucky potions. According to our studies, this strength potion, for some reason, actually manages to stimulate our body to develop more muscles in a few minutes, to the point where it really makes a difference between a person's punch before and after taking this potion. As for the lucky potion, we haven't been able to come up with conclusive results, just speculation that it actually increases the luck. Fury was taken aback by this. If such a potion exists, S.H.I.E.L.D. must obtain as many of these potions as possible. After all, with all of the strange things occurring on in the world, Fury knew that normal humans would be insufficient to deal with them. What about side effects? None were found in either of the 2 potions, plus of course those who drank the strength potion need to ingest more nutrients to maintain new muscle, but as the amount was so low, it wasn't even considered a disadvantage. Natasha ceased to talk. Okay, let's set up some teams to get as many potions like this as possible. What about Notch? Did you get any information? Fury inquired seriously. We can't find any fault with him, even if he acts like just an ordinary player. I feel there is something different about him, but unfortunately we don't have any proof. Not even seduction was possible with him. Natasha got irritated. Okay, just keep an eye out in case he does anything suspicious, Fury said Natasha before dismissing her. What are you trying to do with this? It's not possible that you just want money. Someone with that much power wouldn't need something as mundane as money, Fury reasoned, attempting to comprehend Notch's thoughts. I'm rich, ha 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 ha. Naruto said excitedly in his small hut as he read Minecraft's report. Minecraft 71,206 games sold for $1,424,120. The average time played was 9 hours. Peak number of simultaneous players, 52,110. Total earnings from servers sold, $20,643. Total win from VIPs, $194,975. Available gaming points. 1 Naruto was surprised to learn that he had sold over $1 million in Minecraft, and after converting that money to gaming points, he discovered that by adding the servers and VIPs, he would have over 8,000 points to spend at his leisure. Without hesitation, Naruto entered the system store and purchased a huge shokugeki pizza from Soma, devouring it without regard for the price. Pizza is meant to be eaten when you want to celebrate something. Mawahahaha. Naruto said excitedly, standing on the chair and eating the pizza in a hero's position. Naruto was already tired of eating cup noodles, so the opportunity to eat a pizza as tasty as this one was incredible. But right after that, he felt a little bad. After all, good news makes you want to share it with your friends so you can celebrate together, but Naruto realized he didn't have many. In fact, the only person he could consider a friend was Anna, who turned out to be a mutant from the Marvel Universe. So, after thinking about it, Naruto set the pizza aside and began planning for the future. I know Minecraft will still earn me even more gaming points, but as I'm in the world of Marvel, in the future maybe I really need some powers to survive, but those powers are very expensive, some cost hundreds of thousands of points, then I will need even more points, meaning even more games or ways to win money. Naruto knew that Minecraft hadn't even unlocked the full potential it had. In his previous world, Minecraft had sold hundreds of millions of copies, and in this but Naruto was dissatisfied. He had no idea what year it was, how long it would be before Thanos arrived, or whether Thanos had already been slain. I need to develop more stuff to accelerate Minecraft's growth. What can I do? Naruto wondered. The first idea he had was to create a Minecraft tournament, knowing that esports drew both competitive and casual players who enjoyed watching it. On the other side, he remembered several well-known mods from his previous world and realized that he could sell these mods as DLCs, attracting even more audiences that enjoyed elements that the basic Minecraft did not include. It's time to spend some points to invest in Minecraft, Naruto exclaimed enthusiastically. Ned was addicted to Skyblock. He initially believed it would be a fun little mini-game, similar to Hunger Games or Build Battle, but he was extremely mistaken. Skyblock's grinding and farming mechanics were addictive. The longer you played, the more you grew and could do in the game. If he thought Minecraft Vanilla had no boundaries, he had to accept that Skyblock exceeded limits he had no idea existed. It had been a week since he killed Ender Dragon, and since then, several other players had killed the dragon and were able to begin playing Skyblock. It gave this game mode a VIP atmosphere, as if only those who killed Ender Dragon could play, and it had become a mini-game where only elites met. Even when additional streamers emerged, Ned's broadcast remained the largest Minecraft livestream in the world, with an average of over 10,000 viewers, which tripled during peak hours. Even though the vast majority of gamers were unable to play Skyblock, they could observe Ned's gameplay and have an understanding of what it was like. Maybe I should do a potato farm. I think this could make me a lot of money, Ned commented throughout the conversation. That, potatoes for triumph. Create the potato kingdom. Death to pigs. Suddenly, a window emerged in front of Ned. A major new update has arrived in Minecraft. For further information, see the game's official page or the launcher. Ned was shocked since this was the first time a notice like this appeared. Previously, it simply stated that there was an update and that players needed to restart the game, but this time it appears to have more explanation. Ned stated as he disconnected from Minecraft, "Guys, I'm going to disconnect from the game and share my computer screen so you can see this news with me." In a matter of seconds, he was back in touch with his body and focused on the computer screen. 2 new DLCs have come to Minecraft. If you adore magic, the DLC Thaumcraft is for you. Thaumaturgy is the ability of a magician to do miracles. A thaumaturge, thaumaturgist, or wonder worker is someone who practices thaumaturgy. This mod is all about taking magic from tangible things and turning it into essentia so that it can do amazing things. Ned was shocked by this first DLC. He didn't thought you could do magic in Minecraft. At first, Ned thought there could be magic classes in Minecraft because players could wield swords, shields, axes, and bows. He thought that if there were magic classes, it would be the perfect RPG. Sadly, he never found anything linked to magic other than potions. But now it was there. That was great. Ned was really looking forward to getting this DLC right now so he could start playing it and trying to make magic with his own hands. Playing a game with magic was fun, but playing Minecraft with magic will be a whole new experience for each player. In Minecraft, players actually feel like they're in another world with another body, which means magic will feel very genuine. Ned was so excited that he started reading the other DLC. Shuri was becoming a little bored. At first, Shuri really enjoyed playing Minecraft, especially when she tried to build machines with redstone. But as time went on, she started to feel like the game was getting a little monotonous because it was so easy. The issue with geniuses was that it was easy for Shuri, who was brilliant enough to construct the Black Panther suit, to think of making mechanized farms or enormous redstone circuits. Normal people would take months to learn how to do these things. For her, she got the warning that there was a new DLC when she was about to log out of the game and decided to check it out. After all, different things could happen. Shuri thought Minecraft seemed quite boring and not very fascinating after reading the description. It seems like they had a lot of new things, but they weren't hard things. They were just simple things that anyone could do if they had the time. But when she read the description of the second DLC, her pulse raced and her eyes shone. If you don't like Thaumcraft, you might like Industrial Craft. Industrial Craft adds a lot of new features to Minecraft, such as resource processing, mining, farming, and even the player's own armory. It does this by using its own energy system called Energy Units (EU) and a lot of generators and blocks to store and use this energy. It also has a lot of machines and gadgets that can use this energy in different ways. Shuri was astonished and delighted to play when she started seeing promotional pictures of this mod pack. She could see from the ads that there were many kinds of equipment. She would have to figure out the best spot to establish her factory, the best way to set it up, collect the materials, use machines to process the materials, and then utilize that to accomplish other things. Shuri's smile kept becoming bigger because there was so much she had to do. Shuri didn't think twice before buying the $10 DLC. After a few seconds of installing it, she went into Minecraft to establish an awesome factory. Not just Shuri, but tens of thousands of other players across the world were also impressed by these Minecraft DLCs. Almost everyone bought at least one to try out, including prominent names from the Marvel Universe. Naruto felt differently from players who were stunned by these DLCs. He had already found out that he was in the Marvel Universe, therefore these DLCs were chosen to bring in the most players to Minecraft so he could work on the next game he planned to make. He understood that there were many geniuses in this world whose brains were so much better than the geniuses of his former world. And the worst part was that there was almost a genius for everything in this world, whether it was robotics, genetics, shooting, building, space, or anything else that Naruto couldn't even think of. He knew that there were individuals who understood almost everything about those things. So, after thinking about what mods he could add, Naruto decided that Thaumcraft and Industrial Craft would be the best choices. Thaumcraft was for people who liked magic and Industrial Craft was for people who liked machines and resource use. People who didn't have a clear preference could play both mods. But Naruto was already starting to think that Minecraft was getting stuck. There was no public bottleneck that could play the game, but there was a development bottleneck. The game was almost done, and Naruto even planned to provide a platform for gamers to develop mods, where they could sell their own mods or give them away for free. Naruto didn't have much to do with Minecraft at this point, so he felt it would be a good time to make another game. Where are we going, Master? Wong asked, looking around in confusion. Wong was a monk, but he still knew a lot about how regular people lived. He had no trouble viewing the world with vehicles, cell phones, and computers. Don't worry, this time I'll give you an experience you'll never forget. The old woman smiled confidently as she glanced at Wong and her other students. The disciples were used to seeing her in a different clothing today. They usually saw her in a green and yellow clothing or even a white outfit. But today, she was wearing a long black and purple cape with a dragon face on the back. To match, she donned other black clothes with purple. The followers had to acknowledge that the Ancient One looked much more attractive in this dress, even if she was bald. The last time something like this happened, I lost my hair for 3 months. Wong complained in a quiet voice so the elder couldn't hear, but the smile on her face told him she had heard. I'll excuse your profanity today, mostly because I know it will be hard for you to stay calm with what I'm going to show you. Please come into this store with me. As the old woman walked into the gloomy store, she said, Wong was curious, so he looked at the nameplate on the establishment and saw that it was a cyber cafe. At first, he was intrigued in what the Ancient One wanted to teach them, but now that they are at a cyber cafe, he is less interested. He used to come to places like this all the time when he was just a normal boy. Master, I realize this is a great place, but I don't see what you mean by unforgettable experience. Wong remarked, and the other followers nodded in agreement. The elder grinned and said something when he heard this. Wong, what are these people doing on their computers? Wong didn't understand the question, but he looked around and noticed a man sleeping in front of his computer as a color movie played on the screen. He noted that a woman adjacent was also asleep while a square movie played on the screen. Wong and the other followers were astonished because they didn't know that everyone would have to pay to sleep here. Then Wong had a crazy notion. Master, is there a demon putting these people to sleep? Wong yelled, which scared the other disciples, who quickly got into fighting stance to face the demon that could show up at any time. Don't worry, there aren't any demons here. Everyone is just playing a game with their own conscience. And that's what I brought you to try. I want you everyone to learn about the magic in this game and tell me how it is different from our magic and if it can be applied in real life. The elder told them. When the disciples heard what she said, they finally knew what to do. Some were happy that they could play, and others were relieved that there were no demons. Only Wong was completely serious as he pondered about the Ancient One's task for him and the other disciples. Wong was always taught martial arts instead of mystic arts, unlike other pupils. He does know mystic arts, but he doesn't practice it because he doesn't have the skills for the magical world and has to focus on martial arts. But from what he's heard from the Ancient One, it sounds like this spell is more complicated than it seems, and if he's on the study team for it, maybe it has something to do with him. Wong was so happy that he quickly paid him so that the other monks could use the free computers. Soon, the monks were sleeping in front of the displays like the other customers. Wong, I think we should go to bed. A bald man wearing monk's clothing and seeming exhausted stated this to Wong. After staring up into the sky, Wong said he was bewildered. Why, monsters aren't even showing up yet because it's still light outside. The monk was astonished when he heard this and said something. Not about the game, but about us. I think it's been 50 hours since we started playing non-stop. Even though our bodies are better than most people's, a lot of brothers have already passed out from sleep. The monk said this while pointing to the bodies of players on the ground. These gamers were lucky that their bodies were square, so they couldn't fall asleep on their sides. Wong noticed that the other monks were quite exhausted, so he decided to stop playing Minecraft and go back to Kamartage with them. The monks who were less exhausted carried the monks who were more tired, and they got there quickly. Wong was fine, unlike the other monks. Sure, his thinking was a little off because he hadn't slept in a while, but he had such a fun and creative manner of learning magic in that game that he didn't even notice the time passing. Wong walked to his room after taking the disciples to their hostel and decided to write down all he learned in the game so he wouldn't forget. Wong felt a peculiar sense of familiarity as he sat at his desk. Wong felt like he was doing something like he did in the game when he sat at his workstation at home. He had spent so many hours in Minecraft trying to come up with theories for DLC Thaumcraft. The problem is that this gave Wong a crazy notion. He remembered building a Thaunometer, which was a gold-bordered device with crystals that had elemental properties. It let him observe the elements of objects in the game and derive ideas from them, to make your own spells. Wong thought it was a ridiculous notion because he had just done it in the game. Wong turned on the TV to view the news from across the world because he wanted to relax his head. But he didn't think the news would talk about Minecraft. Doctor, what are the results? A reporter asked a happy old man in a white coat. Wow, this is amazing. Plus, there are no side effects, so even folks like me can enjoy it without any worries. The old man eagerly grabbed the microphone from the reporter and began chatting away to the camera. I'm Dr. Heinstein, and I teach at Yale University. If you've got potions like this, I'm willing to buy each one for $500, actually, make it $1,000. If you're one of the 20 players who snagged a Minecraft potion this week, I'm ready to buy it from you for $1,000. Even if it's a lucky potion. The doctor was about to make an announcement when the program staff interrupted him. But that definitely caught Wong off guard. It wasn't just that there was an old man on TV promoting himself. Wong was pretty used to seeing people like that without a hint of embarrassment. What really caught him off guard was the message that popped up on the screen while the old man was talking. Doctors at universities worldwide are amazed by the potions from Minecraft. Wow, this is a game changer in medicine, they say. So, if what that old man said is right, it suggests that even folks at Yale, one of the top universities out there, were showing that Minecraft stuff actually works in real life. So, if what they were saying is true, does that mean the Minecraft Magic DLC stuff could actually work in the real world too? Wong couldn't believe it. All the hair on his body stood on end, and he jumped up from his chair, heading over to a chest by his bed to grab a few things. Wong has really faced a lot of tough breaks since he came into this world. Wong's dad was a super powerful sorcerer who served the Ancient One, but sadly, Wong ended up with a pretty weak magical talent. Because of that, he had to let go of magic and really dive into martial arts instead. But seriously, who would have thought that he'd actually get a chance to use magic? Wong couldn't help but recall the smile the Ancient One had shared with him at the cyber cafe. It filled him with even more excitement, knowing that the Ancient One was aware of something they were still uncovering. Could that be it? I've got a chance to practice some magic, Wong said with enthusiasm as he worked on creating a thonometer. As Wong was getting lost in the magic of Thaumcraft, there was someone else equally surprised by a Minecraft DLC. Shuri, who initially picked up industrial craft just for kicks, was now engrossed in a big stack of books in front of her, writing away on a blank sheet without stopping. Shuri used to think Minecraft was just a really creative game, but the more she played, the more surprised she became. It was even more shocking when she logged off and found a black cape resting on her lap. But you know who was even more shocked? The Dora Milaje. They were actually holding their cloaks when they left the game, and that sent the whole palace into a frenzy. Everyone thought there might be an intruder lurking around. But when they came up empty, the only thing that made sense was magic. Shuri found the magic of Minecraft really intriguing to explore, but she was surprised by just how powerful the technology in the game turned out to be. At first, Shuri thought it was just a game DLC, but she ended up having a blast with it. Then, she started to consider how many of these technologies could actually work in real life, and she was really surprised by how likely it was to succeed. I wonder if I should give this a shot. She couldn't believe it as she stared at the paper in front of her. It felt like just a few moments went by. At the same time, the Minecraft community has really grown, with not just gamers looking to battle monsters, but also folks diving into the game for all sorts of other reasons. Are you really sure about this? I guess I could just video call him, an elderly woman said with a hint of concern as she settled in front of an old laptop. No need to worry, Grandma, I've had this on for quite a while now. Do you remember Uncle John who sells cookies by the church? He's been wearing this for a few days now, so feel free to ask him if you want. A 12-year-old girl patiently explained to her grandmother, a smile lighting up her face. The old woman felt a bit scared at first, but when she found out that old John was wearing it too, she relaxed a little. She figured she'd give it a shot herself, thinking if it really worked like her granddaughter claimed, it would be amazing for her. So, what should I do now? The woman asked with determination. All you need to do is grab your mouse and hit play. The little girl pointed at the screen. The old woman clicked the play button, moving a bit slower than usual, and suddenly felt like everything around her was fading to black. Even though her granddaughter had mentioned this would happen before, the woman couldn't shake off her fear about it. But just a few seconds later, her vision transformed into a stunning world filled with vibrant greens and a blue sky that she hadn't seen in ages. Even though this woman was quite old and her eyesight had really gone downhill, in this world, she could see everything clearly, just like she was young again. What did she actually tell me to do? The old lady recalled after taking a look around for a few myths. Feeling a little unsure, she went ahead and clicked on multiplayer, then picked Hypixel. The scenery shifted once more, but this time it was just the surroundings that transformed, as the grassy and wooden blocks morphed into something resembling stone and concrete, creating a stunning medieval city. Wow, this is amazing. She looked around with an astonished expression and said, wow, Hypixel City has really grown since the beginning. Now, there are tons of squares and a bunch of villagers ready to sell food and drinks to players, all in exchange for those emeralds players bring back from single-player mode. Even though players in Hypixel didn't feel hungry, it was still nice to hang out with friends in a store in town, grabbing a bite to eat while chatting away. Totally, I get what you mean. A voice called out from beside the old lady. She turned, intrigued, and spotted a player with long black hair dressed in a simple brown outfit, standing right next to her. They had on a really beautiful cape that caught her eye. You know, my granddaughter really talked me into coming here, and I had no idea it would be such a lovely spot. I can walk around just fine without any aches, and my vision is spot on even without glasses. It all feels so magical. The woman expressed her satisfaction. The way this woman spoke so calmly, along with her mention of her granddaughter, made the player realize she was likely an elderly person, and that led to a more respectful attitude towards her. Are you looking for someone, by any chance? Or are you on the hunt for something fun to do? Are some really fun games around here? The woman was soaking in the scenery and chatting with the player when suddenly he asked her what her objective was here, and she felt a wave of fear wash over her. Oh no, I forgot about my appointment. My friends mentioned they wanted to have tea here today, and I think I might be running late. How am I supposed to find them? The player heard this and smiled. Scenes like this were happening all the time, especially this week when Minecraft really broke out of its shell as just a game for kids. Older folks started diving in, and they were just as amazed by this world, maybe even more so than the younger crowd. It was like they were reconnecting with feelings they hadn't experienced in ages. This cute tea house in a neighborhood close by. If you're up for it, I can take you there. The player grinned as they spoke. The woman was taken aback by this, but she felt really happy. Even though it wasn't the right spot, she could just tease her friends for not giving clear directions on how to find them. That would really help, thanks a ton. The woman smiled as she spoke. The player walked with the woman to the most famous tea house in Hypixel and saw that several groups of women were there, sipping tea and chatting like they were noblewomen from a bygone era. It might sound strange in real life, but on Hypixel, it was expected. The woman was really happy to finally meet her friends. She turned to thank the player who helped her get there, but when she looked back, there was no one around. Do you know where he went? She found herself feeling confused. Fortunately, she had noticed his name floating above his head while they were heading this way. Thanks for that, Notch. Maybe we'll cross paths someday. The woman smiled as she turned and headed over to her friend's table. This woman might seem like just an ordinary old lady in Minecraft, but in real life, she's incredibly powerful. But the player she thought was just an ordinary young guy actually had a special identity, and neither of them had any idea about it. The woman only knew that the young man's name was Notch, while Notch thought of her as just an ordinary old woman and didn't even take the time to remember her name. Natasha was riding the elevator at SHIELD headquarters, heading up to meet Director Fury. As some agents hopped in and out of the elevator, she just stood there, lost in thought, staring at an empty spot. The agents glanced at her for a moment before returning to their tasks, not wanting to ruffle the feathers of someone who clearly held a top spot at SHIELD. Natasha hardly noticed the stares from those people. She was pretty used to it by now, especially since her mind was occupied with so much else. The mission she was handling turned out to be way more complicated than she had thought. It was mostly because she was in an unfamiliar setting, and, of course, her looks didn't really matter there, which had made her previous missions a lot easier. Fortunately, she had plenty of ways to achieve her goals, thanks to all the knowledge and training she had gathered over the years for this kind of mission. After a few minutes, the elevator was almost empty, except for Coulson who was with her. Are you having fun with the game? Coulson asked, hoping to kick off a chat. Natasha thought Coulson was a nice person and replied, I can't say I'm really enjoying it, but I get why it's so successful. Absolutely, It's turned into quite the phenomenon. I've heard that almost 90% of kids in schools are playing these days, and a few of their parents have even jumped into play along because their kids keep asking them to. Coulson mentioned, I mean, if I were just a regular person, I'd probably feel the same way. It's tough to witness something like that and not be blown away, especially if you've never experienced anything like it before. Natasha made a comment. That's right. Coulson is confirmed. So, what about you? Did you enjoy the game? Natasha asked, a bit curious. Coulson took a moment to think before he replied. I thought it was kind of fun, especially riding horses and traveling around the world, maybe even betting on horse races and things like that, but it's just not really my thing. I really enjoy games that feature cars, racing, and a good dose of adrenaline. Fighting monsters in a game doesn't really surprise me, especially considering my job. Natasha was on the same page as Coulson. While working at S.H.I.E.L.D., they've encountered all sorts of bizarre things that most folks would think only belong in sci-fi movies. Fighting these monsters in the game wasn't all that thrilling, except for the fact that the technology just wipes them out. Coulson bid farewell to Natasha on one of the upper floors and allowed her to proceed alone to Fury's office. Upon knocking on the door and receiving confirmation for entry, Natasha commenced her report. Sir, this task presented significant complexities, particularly given the influx of individuals engaging with Minecraft. The suspect was exceedingly difficult to identify amidst the crowd, remaining elusive and only revealing themselves at their discretion. While we lacked concrete evidence, all investigations and witness statements supported the notion that this hypothesis holds significant validity, Natasha stated. Fury sat in his chair, deep in thought, before posing his question. Have you made contact with the suspect? Indeed, after demonstrating my skills as a seasoned player and gaining access to Skyblock, I began engaging more with fellow players. It was during this time that the suspect began to appear more frequently to both myself and the individuals I encountered, Natasha responded. It certainly heightens the suspicion surrounding him. Based on the agent's descriptions, the Skyblock appears to be a domain reserved for the game's elite in terms of combat. Did you observe anything unusual about these individuals? After all, to gain access, everyone had to defeat the dragon, and given that this is a VR game, the skill required to accomplish that is significantly beyond what an average player can achieve in such a brief period. Fury inquired. Natasha acknowledged Fury's question with a subtly displeased expression. Regrettably, I observed that certain individuals frequenting Skyblock may be current or former military personnel who engage in Minecraft. Some maintain a reserved demeanor, while others exhibit behavior reminiscent of the S.H.I.E.L.D. employees after hours. I couldn't ascertain their true backgrounds, but given their ability to defeat the Ender Dragon in a remarkably short time frame, I suspect they are not typical players. Natasha replied. What about that boy? Nick inquired. Ned Leeds, a student at Midtown High, possesses unremarkable data, characterizing him as an average student who has seemingly experienced considerable fortune as the first Minecraft player. With ample free time, he dedicates numerous hours to playing Minecraft each day, potentially prioritizing gaming over his academic responsibilities. His monthly earnings have already surpassed 4 digits and are nearing 5 digits. Furthermore, he has reportedly received 2 potions, successfully achieving a top 20 ranking in the Hunger Games for 2 consecutive weeks. His physique has improved, and there has been a slight reduction in body fat. While this may not be particularly noteworthy to those around him, it aligns with our data regarding these potions. I recommend that the investigation into him be discontinued, Natasha concluded her report. I concur with that assessment. We can observe from a distance and monitor his livestream periodically for any unusual activity. However, beyond that, we can cease the investigation concerning the young man. Fury responded with a sense of detachment. However, what is the status of your assignment for today? Upon hearing that Natasha was proud, a smile appeared on her face. All preparations are complete. I will meet him in a few hours. You are a capable agent, and I have full confidence in your success. Fury responded with a demeanor that remained neutral. Thank you, sir, Natasha responded before departing. Today, she is scheduled to meet with a Minecraft player, who is the primary suspect in the shield case. Notch. However, what they were unaware of was that he had already uncovered Natasha's identity and consented to it out of a sense of curiosity. Naruto was in the process of developing the subsequent game to be released following Minecraft. He had no intention of releasing the Minecraft game at its peak. His plan was to organize additional events within Minecraft prior to launching the next game, ensuring that it would not compete directly with Minecraft and cause its audience to shift their focus away from it. Naruto's strategy involved initially allowing Minecraft to cultivate a substantial player base, with the intention of releasing additional games once there was significant public demand. However, that did not deter him from progressing with the development of the next game. The concept he proposed was significantly more expansive than Minecraft, particularly regarding gaming points. A game that offers an engaging narrative for players to immerse themselves in, while also providing ample freedom to explore and enjoy their experience. However, considerable time would be required for its development. While the system could utilize his memories to enhance the games, Naruto observed that certain elements from his mental landscape could be modified to create a more enjoyable experience for players in this realm. Similar to his approach with Minecraft, where he expanded the experience through world events, rankings, awards, and a virtual society, Naruto aimed to implement a comparable strategy with the upcoming game. However, setting that matter aside, Naruto had a scheduled date today. It was not particularly romantic, as he was not focused on pursuing a girlfriend at that moment. After all, he was preoccupied with the pressing concern of how to navigate his way off the mountain, which occupied much of his thoughts. The primary reason was that the individual he was scheduled to meet was not someone with whom he felt romantically at ease. After all, the woman was known as Black Widow, and as her name implies, the number of men who had met unfortunate fates due to their affection for her was considerable. This time, he would meet with her to assess the shield's response to Minecraft and to discern their intentions, all while ensuring they remained unaware of his prior knowledge regarding their identity. The moment is approaching, Naruto reflected as he glanced at his watch. Shortly thereafter, he exited the game development program and became a part of Minecraft. Hypixel City has experienced a significant increase in activity compared to its previous state. Minecraft sales approached 200,000 units, suggesting that one would anticipate at least 30,000 or more players present during peak times, given that it was the largest server in the game. Several smaller servers began to emerge, and one that Naruto particularly enjoyed observing was a server named 22BT, characterized by its anarchy where players had the freedom to engage in any activities they desired. In a VR game, it is important to note that any form of obscenity or actions that violate another player's consent are strictly prohibited in Minecraft. Any player engaging in such behavior would face immediate banning from the game, necessitating the purchase of a new copy to continue playing. The account will be monitored by the system to ensure that similar incidents do not occur in the future. In response to the city's bustling atmosphere, Naruto enhanced the experience by incorporating various entertainment options for players. Emeralds that held limited utility in single-player mode possessed significant monetary value in Hypixel, prompting many players to actively pursue this ore during gameplay to enhance their experience with friends in Hypixel. Upon entering a cafe operated by a villager equipped with artificial intelligence, Naruto observed the empty space and chose a table by the window, allowing him to continue observing the players outside. Observing individuals engaging in play and enjoyment throughout the town inspired the concept of a world event for Naruto. It was indeed entertaining to introduce an element of chaos amidst the prevailing happiness. "Could you please share what brings about that smile?" A female voice inquired from beside Naruto. He turned and observed the player, Natalia, known by her real name, Natasha Romanoff. "I observed an amusing scenario. You arrived ahead of schedule," Naruto remarked upon noticing that Natasha had come in 5 minutes early. "But you arrived even earlier," Natalia replied with a smile, noting that Notch was already here before her. "I currently have a light workload, allowing me some free time to explore Hypixel," Naruto responded. Natasha elevated her eyebrow with a hint of curiosity. She assumed he had a significant workload managing nearly 200,000 players, but it seems it wasn't as demanding as expected. "What is your profession?" Natalia inquired, displaying a keen interest. Naruto had to acknowledge that this spy's performance is quite impressive. If she pursued a career in acting, her appearance would certainly enable her to secure a leading role in any film. I operate a farm. I prefer quieter environments, except when it comes to Minecraft, which is, after all, just a game. Naruto responded before requesting a cup of coffee from the villager. At Hypixel, a selection of exclusive foods and beverages was available, including coffee and juices. This particular type of food is not available in standard Minecraft, which has led many culinary enthusiasts to engage with the game specifically to seek out emeralds in order to experience the unique offerings of Hypixel's cuisine. I was contemplating the notion that Minecraft is an exceptionally enchanting environment. Is it truly just a game? My friends even perceive it as akin to another world, Natalia inquired, feigning a sense of speculation. However, Naruto was aware that she was genuinely attempting to extract information from him, regarding both the mechanics of Minecraft and the truth of his claim as the game's creator. Do you genuinely believe that? It's a valid perspective, as it is quite realistic, Naruto responded. However, taking into account the approach to engaging with the game, including the ability to livestream and other related activities, I find it difficult to believe that it is merely a game. That is understandable, yet I find myself questioning whether Minecraft is merely a game, Natalia remarked as she accepted the coffee that villager had brought for her and Naruto. I have come across various narratives online regarding games of that nature, albeit set in a distant future. Considering the advancements from Stark Industries, I wouldn't be surprised if this game represents an experimental endeavor on their part, potentially shrouded in secrecy. Naruto proposed a theory. While it's possible, I believe that, similar to Tony Stark's tendency to showcase his achievements, it would be difficult for him to remain silent about this game. If it truly belonged to him, he would have likely announced it publicly and created significant buzz around it. Natalia presented her argument. Are you afraid of the game? Naruto inquired, a smile gracing Natasha's face. Are you apprehensive about the game? Naruto inquired, a smile gracing her face. Natasha observed Naruto gazing intently into her eyes and experienced a sense of insecurity for the first time. She had extensive experience managing numerous missions, and her disguises were consistently flawless, making it nearly impossible for anyone to question her. However, the way Notch was observing her led Natasha to believe that this individual was aware of her true identity and intentions. After a brief moment, she gathered her composure and replied, "Is it possible that humans have a fear of the unknown? This situation could potentially be orchestrated by an individual with malicious intent." Naruto emitted a chuckle. Indeed, fear is a common human experience, particularly regarding the unknown. However, my experience on the farm has taught me that it is more productive to channel that fear into proactive measures, such as building a fence to safeguard the chickens from potential threats like foxes. Interestingly, the very fears we harbor, such as those of tigers, may be addressing other issues we are unaware of, yet they motivate us to create protective barriers against lesser dangers. Natasha was taken aback by this information. If the analogy presented by Notch holds true, it suggests that he implies a fear of Minecraft, leading to attempts at self-protection. However, it also indicates the presence of persistent threats lurking in the shadows, which remain unnoticed. The discussion was quite enjoyable, Natalia. However, I must attend to feeding my pigs now. I hope you have a great time. Notch departed after a few more minutes of dialogue, leaving Natasha to reflect on her thoughts. This discussion with Notch was highly informative. At that moment, she was quite certain that Notch was indeed the creator of Minecraft and that he was aware of her affiliation with the Shield. His analogy served as a cautionary note to Shield. You may have reservations about me, but my assistance is essential, even if you are not yet aware of it. I must report this immediately. Natasha logged out of Minecraft and proceeded to Fury's room to relay the entire conversation. Despite documenting everything discreetly through the game's camera system, a personal report detailing her insights on the case remained crucial. Tony, did you actually create Minecraft? My superiors are consistently inquiring about the truth. A male voice resonated from the stairs. Tony Stark, engrossed in his work on one of his armors, turned with irritation and responded. Rhodes, for the umpteenth time, I did not create this Minecraft. James Rhodes descended the stairs, his expression reflecting frustration as he regarded Tony. He was aware that Tony was not the creator of Minecraft. After all, if Tony had developed the game, it would likely have been titled StarkCraft. However, he needed to inquire once more due to the requirements of his superiors. Understood, I will refrain from further inquiries. However, have you come to any conclusions regarding the development of this game? Rhodes inquired with optimism. Tony inquired aloud. Jarvis, could you provide an update on the progress of the Minecraft decoding process? Unexpectedly, a mechanical voice emanated from the workshop speakers. Sir, only 1% was able to decode. Tony was taken aback by this development. He had requested Jarvis to decode Minecraft at Rhodes' suggestion 2 days prior, believing it would be a straightforward task since it was merely a computer game. However, he did not believe that Jarvis would be capable of decoding even 1% of the game. What information was decoded? Tony inquired. The website resembles a straightforward sales page on the Steam platform. However, it operates on its own server that is impervious to analysis or removal. Even my most effective DDoS attack proved futile, akin to the saying, "It was just a stone in the ocean," Jarvis responded in a mechanical tone. Tony was taken aback. He is recognized as one of the greatest minds in history. Jarvis stands out as the most advanced artificial intelligence ever created. Why is it that this straightforward computer game cannot be analyzed by him? Disregarding Rhodes, Tony positioned himself at the nearest computer and resolved to attempt decoding the game independently. The game download was completed promptly, and Tony promptly commenced his efforts to manipulate the game file in pursuit of the information he sought. To Tony's surprise, he found himself unable to access the game files. The program he developed indicated that even the software's protection language was not comprehensible, suggesting it was beyond the capabilities of his program. How did he accomplish that? Tony exclaimed in disbelief. It is noteworthy that the Pentagon has engaged all the most renowned hackers sought by Interpol, yet none have succeeded in decoding the game page. It is quite remarkable that Jarvis accomplished this in such a brief period, Rhodes remarked. Certainly, Jarvis surpasses those individuals who merely remain at home replicating affluent individuals' cards, Tony stated with pride. However, upon revisiting the computer screen and realizing his inability to decode any aspect of the game, he swiftly experienced a decline in pride and a surge of frustration. Do you believe you can resolve this issue? Rhodes inquired with concern, noting that this was the first instance he had witnessed Tony so frustrated over a matter. Tony is an individual who consistently presents a cheerful demeanor, often showcasing his financial success and intellect at every available opportunity. Even accessing the courthouse computer where he was tried for possessing the Iron Man armor, this once trusted friend was now exhibiting such frustration that it was quite unexpected. Do you have any questions? I am fully capable of handling this task. I simply require a few additional days to enhance the decoding program so that it can effectively interpret the language of the game. I will keep you updated with any developments. Tony stated with assurance once more. There is nothing in this world that I, Tony Stark, cannot comprehend, and it certainly will not be a mere computer game that will claim that distinction from me. Naruto required a day to refine the event he was organizing. This event represents a significant milestone for Minecraft, with the game surpassing 200,000 copies sold. Through Minecraft sales alone, Naruto has accrued around 20,000 gaming points, and when factoring in VIP and DLC sales, that total increased to approximately 30,000 gaming points. At one point, Naruto could not have imagined such an amount upon receiving the system. However, earning 1,000 gaming points has now become a straightforward task. Naruto chose to explore the skill store to assess any potentially beneficial options available to him. Skills Shop. Dominic Toretto's driving skills, 3,000 gaming points. Elf Breath, 5,000 gaming points. Deadshot Weapon Mastery, 10,000 gaming points. Gray Fullbuster Ice Magic, 100,000 gaming points. Megaman Fire Magic, 500,000 gaming points. Natsu Dragneel, The Dragon Slayer, proficient in fire magic, 1 million gaming points. Any sense of accomplishment Naruto felt upon discovering he had 30,000 gaming points quickly diminished when he realized it was insufficient to purchase ice magic. However, among the items available for purchase, one particular object captured Naruto's interest. Inquisitive, he inquired with the system for additional information. Elf Breath, 5,000 gaming points. A method of meditation employed by elves to harness beneficial qualities from the natural world. This breathing technique does not have a direct impact on combat performance. However, it enhances nutrient absorption from food, improves sleep quality, and, with prolonged practice, may contribute to increased longevity for the user. It is said to have a beautifying effect. Naruto was taken aback by this ability, as the cost associated with it was exceedingly high, amounting to an equivalent of $1 million when converted to dollars. After observing the impact it produced, Naruto made the decision to purchase it without hesitation. He had numerous aspirations for the day, and the necessity of sleeping 10 hours each night posed significant constraints for Naruto, making such a requirement crucial. The impact of nourishing the body and enhancing longevity is noteworthy. If an item of this nature were introduced to the market, even a price tag of $1 million would seem modest, and $1 trillion would be considered a bargain. Acquire. Upon acquiring this, a torrent of information flooded Naruto's mind, reminiscent of the memory pills he had utilized to recall the intricacies of Minecraft. Within a matter of minutes, Naruto discovered an effective method to practice the elvish breath and implemented it successfully. In, out, asterisk Naruto dedicated 30 minutes to the lotus position and promptly recognized the positive impact that this breathing technique had on his body. In contrast to his previous state, it felt as though he now inhaled the fresh air of lush farmland, while before, it was akin to breathing in the noxious fumes of a waste disposal site. Naruto found it challenging to articulate his experience, yet after just 30 minutes of this breathing technique, he felt a profound sense of euphoria in his body, expressing gratitude for the fresh air and gradually mending the effects of the weather. Naruto lacked a method to quantify the extent to which elven breathing had restored and revitalized his body. However, he was certain that if he practiced this breathing technique continuously for a few years, he would undoubtedly age at a significantly slower rate, suggesting that maintaining this breath could extend his lifespan considerably. Recognizing that this skill required 5,000 gaming points and had already demonstrated remarkable effects, Naruto continued to pursue the acquisition of other, more costly skills to explore their potential benefits. Ultimately, he exercised self-control and refrained from making any additional purchases. He currently possesses 25,000 gaming points, which will be necessary for the upcoming game. Basic RPG 5,000 gaming points, Advanced RPG 50,000 gaming points. AAA RPG 500,000 gaming points. He had already accumulated sufficient resources to create a basic RPG, but he aimed for his next project to be significantly more ambitious. Therefore, he planned to gather an additional 25,000 gaming points to develop an advanced RPG. Despite the substantial number of gaming points required, Naruto assessed that, given the daily sales of Minecraft, he could accumulate that total within a maximum of 2 weeks. Alternatively, if the event he organized garnered a positive response from players, this timeframe might be reduced to just 1 week. With a smile on his face, Naruto took a seat at the computer and commenced the development of the event he planned for Minecraft. This event is likely to be the most significant in the game, as Naruto aimed to establish it as a central theme in the games he planned to create. Minecraft lacked a story mode, however, Naruto aimed to create one through this event. Hypixel faces an impending invasion, requiring players to engage in combat to safeguard the city. Failure to do so may result in its destruction and the loss of the features that contribute to its enjoyment. Creatures would emerge from the skies, the earth, the underground, from all directions. The villagers would experience fear, while the players would be uniquely positioned to safeguard the city. Players must unite to confront a formidable adversary capable of commanding dragons with ease. The number of monsters assaulting the city was significant, yet Naruto had already devised a strategy to enable the players to effectively handle the situation. Of course, He did not intend for players to solve this problem. At best, these players would be able to cause the enemy to back down. But Naruto would be able to create the first story of the game, a story that would continue through the new games and make players shiver just thinking about the enemy they would face. The enemy who would unite the Earth, possibly even more powerful than Thanos. That enemy who would oppose the Minecraft system emerged just once in history and has since become a legend. Herobrine would return in a few days, leaving players in despair. Naruto was really excited to make this event succeed, so he spent the next 2 days planning everything that would happen, even when it would happen. For starters, Naruto required a moment when only a few people were online, but one of those players was filming what was about to happen. Because Minecraft was a different VR game, many players preferred to play it while sleeping, as their bodies would fall into sleep mode while their minds were preoccupied with Minecraft, which was enough to keep them entertained for several days. However, Naruto had added a function to the game that would prevent the player from playing for 3 days in a row, because the function of sleep was not only to rest the body but also the mind, so Naruto only allowed players to play non-stop for 3 days before forcing them to sleep. Naruto discovered that because people tended to stay overnight in Minecraft, 10 o'clock was the optimum time to hold the event. This was when children and teenagers were in school and most people were working. Of course, Minecraft spread over the world, but for the time being, 80% of the Minecraft audience was still in the United States, so Naruto relied on US weather to compute things. Naruto smiled as he completed everything in 3 days. This event should have taken 1 day less to develop, but Naruto was focused on keeping the Elvish breath active the entire time. It was easy to discern when he stopped utilizing the Elven breath, as the sensation of breathing in a sewer came anytime he did. But constantly thinking about breathing that way was far more difficult than Naruto anticipated. He constantly neglected to use this breath and became dizzy from the unpleasant sensation of breathing normally, forcing him to stop developing the event and focus on Elvish breathing again to rid his body of the contaminants he ingested. Naruto slept as if he were being caressed by angels, experiencing such a lovely slumber that it was difficult to wake up, except for the hours he awoke from stopped using Elvish breathing. But after 5 hours of slumber, Naruto couldn't sleep any longer. His body was full of energy, demanding him to do anything to expend it. Unfortunately, he was unable to create the event with this extra energy since he would only sit in front of the computer, typing on the keyboard, which made him restless. To fix this, Naruto stood up and left his small cabin. After Minecraft was released, Naruto's primary activity outside the hut was to gather firewood to light the fireplace and warm up. Even though it had been about a month since Naruto released Minecraft, the snow outside his cabin remained as heavy as when he first arrived in this planet. Naruto wondered why no one had discovered him yet now that he knew he was in the Marvel Universe. There are many powerful beings in this planet, including one of the most powerful beings in the cosmos, who lived on Earth and had a large bald head. Naruto expected the Ancient One to arrive and discuss, or rather grill him about Minecraft, but this never happened. Knowing the woman's personality, Naruto assumed she had been looking for him for a long time, but if she hadn't arrived by now, it was most likely due to some sort of isolation. The only thing Naruto could think of was that the system had isolated this realm from the outside by using part of its powers, but Naruto didn't care. Naruto's sole thought at the time was to waste his energy, so he ran through the dark forest into the night at a speed he had no idea he was capable of. Naruto's muscles were becoming healthier by the day, to the point where he was using body fat on a daily basis to tone his muscles, making his body stronger than ever before. Naruto understood that if he wanted to keep his present body, he would have to diet for several months while working out at the gym. However, using Elvish breathing, Naruto achieved the same results simply by eating, sleeping, and exercising for 3 days. And Naruto knew that the more he practiced Elvish breathing, the healthier he would become. No wonder elves were so cute. With something as magical as this technique, it's impossible not to be cute. Naruto told himself this as he walked back to his cabin and saw his reflection in a giant chunk of ice. Naruto felt compelled to shower and prepare for the day's events as the sun began to rise. But something made Naruto suspect. He had never run as far from his cabin as he did today, and the darkness stopped him from seeing it, but now that the dawn was rising, Naruto could see clearly that there was a cave near his home, a cave he had never noticed. What's in this cave? Maybe a bear, Naruto wondered as he reached the cave. However, the closer Naruto went to the cave, the more elvish breathing indicated that there was too much filthy air flowing from inside. It wasn't impurity in the sense of evil, but rather an excess of mineral molecules in the air, which would be extremely harmful to anyone who breathed it. As this pollution, Naruto was surprised to feel it, until a hunch struck Naruto. Could this be a tunnel into the city? After all, city air contains a lot of carbon monoxide. Naruto wondered, resting his hand on his chin. He was tempted to enter that portal and discover which city was on the other side, but he knew there could be many powerful people trying to find him right now, and despite the fact that his body was becoming more powerful, he was still far from powerful. Scratching the mighty humans. Going through with it would expose me to undue risk. Maybe I'll go through it when I'm strong enough to protect myself. Naruto said to himself with a determined expression before turning away and returning to the cabin. On the walk home, Naruto looked at the cave with longing in his eyes, but each time he gave up and tried to ignore it. It was quite tempting for a person who had been secluded for nearly 2 months to be able to reconnect with civilization again, but for the time being, he was fine with communicating with other people via Minecraft. Maybe one day, Naruto sighed. Naruto sat in front of the computer, ready to begin his planned event, after showering and having breakfast. Naruto planned for this event to run 7 days, following which the trailer for the new game would be provided to players. Even though Naruto didn't yet have enough gaming points to begin developing the game, he had previously thought out the majority of the game's features and the changes he would need to make it operate in this environment, ensuring a quick development process. And, with the hoopla he was planning for this event, Naruto was confident that Minecraft sales would skyrocket, and he would have received the remaining gaming points to create the game within 7 days. It was 9:50 a.m., and only around 27,000 of the 200,000 people who had purchased Minecraft were currently online. That includes users who use single-player mode, Hypixel, and private servers. Given that the game had over 150,000 players online at peak hours, it was suddenly one of the quietest times. But this was exactly what Naruto wanted. Naruto smiled as he used the Herobrine account to log into Hypixel. Wong and the Sorcerers of Kamar Taj were among the few gamers online in Minecraft. Because this was the Ancient One's responsibility, they checked into the game every day to learn about Thaumcraft's magic. And because they had no obligations like job or school, these devotees essentially spent the entire day at the game. But it was exhausting merely to remain on a private server they owned to study magic together, so they would occasionally join into Hypixel to eat some game food or even play the server's minigames. With the release of Thaumcraft and Industrialcraft, it became easier for players to kill Ender Dragon using the resources provided in these DLCs, resulting in a significant increase in the number of players playing Skyblock as more players obtained Ender Dragon eggs. Kamar Taj's pupils also become addicted to Skyblock. The economic structure in this mini-game was fantastic. It should be noted that in order to be accepted as a disciple of Kamar Taj, one had to have a very important destiny. Great entrepreneurs and geniuses in various fields were common in that location, so when they killed Ender Dragon and began playing Skyblock, you could say they had become one of the main groups there. Wong, did you manage to find out anything about magic tonight? A disciple inquired with a disappointed frown. They had already tested it and discovered that Thaumcraft's magic was not hard to do in the actual world, but putting it into practice was a very different story. I've tested a few things, and I believe I've achieved a significant breakthrough. Perhaps in a few weeks, I'll be able to build a functional Taunamikan. Of course, I'm not sure if it will work, but if it is true, it has the potential to revolutionize human magic. Wong exclaimed excitedly. People in the Marvel Universe couldn't control magic or make it themselves. Instead, they had to make deals with demons or get magic from other realms to do anything. But with what they learned from Thaumcraft, it was very probable that they could use magic for even more spectacular things in the future, and maybe even cease needing other realms. Boom. There was a huge explosion that woke up everyone who was resting on the Hypixel. Players were astonished. People who play Minecraft are used to explosions because they often die to creepers and even play with TNTs without any trouble. But this time it was different. The explosion was much bigger than before. Players couldn't believe what they saw when they looked around. Players could never climb the huge wall that surrounded the city of Hypixel. Even though a lot of people tried, there were no blocks to hold up to the top. This left gamers locked there, wondering what it was like on the other side of the wall. But now something they never thought would happen has happened. There was a hole in the enormous wall. Wong was astonished and perplexed, and so were the other players. A notification suddenly appeared in front of all Minecraft players, even those on private servers or those playing alone. Dear inhabitants of Hypixel, an unknown force is attacking the city. Please help keep Hypixel safe. What? Is the city under attack? The disciple next to Wong yelled in dread. Thousands of Minecraft players felt that Hypixel was a safe and comfy location that the game's producers had constructed for them to rest. But who would have guessed that this paradise might be attacked? The mission, Protect Hypixel, is now active. To join the quest, go to Hypixel and assist keep the city safe. If players can keep the city safe from the invasion of the mysterious adversary, everyone who helps will get a gold limited cape with the words, Hypixel Defender, sewn on it. Players used to be terrified of this invasion, but now their thoughts have changed completely. Especially after seeing the word, limited, on the cover. Almost every player had seen one of the players wearing the Ender Dragon cape proudly walking throughout town. They were upset that they couldn't have a cape as cool as this one, but now they can. They understood that practically everyone would take the job, so almost everyone would get a cape like that. It wouldn't be as remarkable as the Ender Dragon cape, but Minecraft was developing so quickly that new people were coming in all the time, and who wouldn't be jealous of their covers. Let's go to war. A player yelled with excitement. When Professor Xavier called for everyone to come to the mansion room, the X-Men were shocked. Most of the students learned at the mansion with private lessons from mutant teachers. Only a few went to conventional school. People were frightened when Professor Xavier called everyone together. It must have been something very important to call more than 100 people at the institute. Guys, is Magneto taking a town hostage? Evan asked as he got closer. Kurt considered for a bit before answering. Something like that is probably going on, or else the teacher wouldn't be interrupting all of the classes. I'm happy that our next class will be with Mr. Logan. Missing one of his classes is a good thing. Kitty said with a wide smile on her face. All the students started to guess what was going on as they walked to the meeting room. Some individuals assumed Magneto was attacking people, while others feared a new opponent had come along. Some pupils were even frightened that people had found out they were a school for mutants. Until Anna, who is better known as Rogue, shouted in fear. Someone is attacking Hypixel. All of the pupils were surprised when they heard this. What do you mean when you say Hypixel is under attack? Does the government want to get rid of Minecraft? A student cried because they were scared. It can't be. A girl yelled. No, Hypixel City is being attacked. Anna yelled to let everyone know. When they heard this, they felt better for a time, but then they remembered how big the walls of Hypixel were and wondered about what must be going on for Hypixel to be attacked. Who is attacking? A girl who was usually quite shy inquired in a mean way. This girl was usually nice and cute to everyone, so even Anna was terrified of how she reacted. But she was still a little scared when she answered. Nobody knows who it is, but there are 2 Ender Dragons flying over Hypixel. Zombies and skeletons have broken through the wall and started to invade the city. Players think it might be a person. She mentioned this while still watching the news on the internet. Who? Students asked nervously. But before Anna could say anything, a voice she knew answered her as she walked into the conference room. Herobrine. Professor Xavier stated in a serious voice. The pupils were surprised by Professor Xavier. They had no idea he played Minecraft. Professor, how do you know that? Anna was a little confused when she inquired. She previously knew that the professor played Minecraft, but she didn't think he cared so much about the game that he already knew this. The article she was reading said that the city had been overrun 10 minutes ago. Shouldn't the professor have been anxious about what Magneto was going to do since he called the meeting? Unless, Anna was astonished to think of something. That's why I called you all here. I know that almost all of you at the Xavier Institute play Minecraft, and I realized how good this game is for the whole mutant community. In Hypixel, everyone can act like normal people and even make friends with other people without worrying about their safety. I just heard about the Hypixel invasion 5 minutes ago, so I called you all over. The professor said in a serious tone. Anna thought that what she had envisioned was true when she heard this. The kids were still startled to hear that the teacher liked Minecraft so much, but when they thought about the friends they met and the fun moments they had with other players, they understood what the teacher meant. Professor, you called us too. Scott Summers, who was in charge of the younger X-Men, didn't even think that Professor Xavier had called everyone to what he was thinking. But they finally believed it when the teacher said something. Yes, I called everyone to ask you to join Hypixel and help defend the city. I will also connect so we can fight humanity together and protect that place that has always been good to us. The kids were inspired by Professor Xavier's wide smile and the way he acted with confidence. Before, they thought Minecraft was a lot more fun than other games. But after hearing what the teacher said, they recognized how vital it was and didn't want anyone to ruin Hypixel. Let's go, Kurt yelled with excitement. You can trust me. Evan was also quite happy. And with me. Me too. Soon, the children hurried back to their own rooms to play on their own computers. Others went to the library or even to some classrooms to play games. This was because not everyone had their own computer and all the public computers in the home were busy. More than 100 mutants linked to Minecraft at that moment to assist protect Hypixel. Individuals didn't just congregate at Mansion X to help protect Hypixel. In some neighborhoods, businesses, and even whole industries, individuals stopped what they were doing to help fight for Hypixel. S.H.I.E.L.D. even sent several spies to fight in the War of Hypixel. They did this to learn more about the strange game and what was going on, and to safeguard the city that gave them all power potions. Weeks. People who didn't know what was going on were perplexed as they walked across town and noticed establishments closing quickly. Some individuals even thought that their towns were being attacked, but when they were asked why the stores closed, they were even more bewildered. Hypixel is under attack. What makes this so essential to you? Are you giving employees time off because you have to play? What kind of boss are you? What the hell is Hypixel? The east wall has been breached. We need help defending it. A player ran toward the town square. In the town plaza, a number of well-known players were there. The Hunger Games rankings or the Skyblock rankings are how most people know these athletes. All of these athletes were wearing capes that were different colors. But some of these folks were more important than others. The ones who wore black capes with purple embellishments were the most important. We're sending Team 38 there because they just defended the West Wall and got a lot of strong items. Shuri said this with a serious look on her face, as if she were a true general of a big army, which was very different from how cute she looked. Players didn't have any weapons to battle the monsters when they started to attack, so they just punched them till they died. But they were lucky to find out that slaying monsters dropped swords and armor, which made it much easier to kill more and more creatures. At first, players were merely attacking without any plan. Then, Ned the King started giving instructions for better ways to attack, and players started following his advice to make the city's defense better. Ned was just a regular student, so he could only use the war strategy games he had played before. But soon, other players with Ender Dragon cloaks came up next to him, and they started arguing about tactics. This even led to a small chain of command forming between the players. Players might disregard the input of others and proceed according to their own preferences, but this was Hypixel. Here, individuals truly engaged with one another face to face, in an environment that offered significantly more enjoyment than international travel. Consequently, there was a collective desire to avoid any actions that could jeopardize the integrity of this remarkable city. Team 38, please proceed to the west gate and assist the teams in defending the wall. Ensure that no monsters breach our defenses. Ned called out to the 38 players, who promptly made their way to the west gate, wielding the stone swords they had acquired from defeating monsters. The players quickly realized that the assault was occurring in successive waves. The initial wave provided players with wooden swords, the subsequent wave introduced stone swords, while the details of the third wave remain uncertain. The dragons have not yet initiated an attack. A man with long black hair spoke with a contemplative demeanor. His nickname was Educator. Indeed, with each successive wave of attacks, the equipment continues to enhance. It seems these dragons may only engage once players possess diamond swords. A response was provided by a woman. Her nickname was Natalia. Has anyone acquired a bow yet? Engaging with dragons without proper weaponry is a perilous endeavor. A woman with white hair and black skin made a comment. Her nickname was McQueen. As of now, the number of skeletons encountered in the waves has been minimal, and none have yielded a bow. However, it is possible that in future waves, this could increase. Ned provided a response. According to the leaders, an additional 200 players have gathered in the town square and are eager to assist in the battle. A player entered the command center with a look of enthusiasm. The player's cape may lead others to assume he was a member of the command team, given that he donned an Ender Dragon cape. However, this individual only spent a brief period in the command center before becoming disinterested and opting to take matters into his own hands in the fight. The nickname of this player was P. Parker. Ned and Peter were at school when the Hypixel attack commenced. Upon realizing the situation, they promptly left, feeling unwell, and successfully evaded their classes with ease. Given their exceptional academic performance, persuading the teacher to allow them to leave for home was a straightforward matter. Please escort them to the weapons warehouse and instruct each individual to select a wooden sword. Should they choose a stone sword, they are required to return the wooden sword to the warehouse. Additionally, inform them about the sword donation process. Ned addressed Peter with a smile. Understood. Peter responded with enthusiasm before returning to spawn and escorting the players to the warehouse. Players acquired numerous wooden swords during the initial wave, and upon receiving stone swords in the subsequent wave, the leaders opted to reserve the wooden swords for new players eager to engage in battle. The excess stone swords would be kept in storage for players to utilize upon respawning. Upon their demise, the swords they wielded vanished, necessitating a continuous acquisition of additional weapons. P. Parker escorted the new players to the warehouse, where each was presented with a wooden sword by the player known as Malaje02. Their responsibility for the warehouse stemmed from their intelligence and discipline. Was Team 01 successful in defeating the boss? Shuri inquired of Professor Xavier. I have not received any communication from them as of now, but I have confidence in the strategic instincts of those players. The professor responded with a smile. Team 01 represented the X-Men unit. Included in the group were Kurt, Scott, Jean, Anna, Kitty, and Logan, who were focused on combating and eliminating monsters. Xavier, Aurora, and Hank were present at the command line. Boom! The sound of fireworks resonated throughout the city center, prompting players to express their enthusiasm with heightened intensity as they engaged in combat against the monsters. Upon the defeat of the first wave boss, celebratory fireworks erupted, indicating that Team 01 has successfully triumphed over the second boss as well. It appears we have reached a conclusion, Princess. The professor responded with a smile. I am pleased to hear that you received it. Shuri, also known as Princess, responded with enthusiasm. The players swiftly completed the task of eliminating the monsters and subsequently convened in the town center to receive their next directives. Following each wave, players were allotted 15 minutes for rest and personal hygiene, providing an opportunity for them to convene and exchange innovative ideas. Meanwhile, as the players engaged in serious discussions downtown, Naruto navigated the city invisibly, a smile on his face, ready to execute the second phase of his plan. During the 15-minute break, Naruto was skillfully managing a new feature he had integrated into Minecraft, unbeknownst to the other players. Up until the second round, the only adversaries present were standard monsters that targeted the walls, alongside a larger boss monster that exhibited greater health, damage, and speed compared to the regular foes. For Naruto, it served merely as an entryway to the magnificent banquet. He had strategized that today there would be only 3 waves of monsters, allowing players to disseminate information about the events in the city, which would subsequently attract even more players to assist in defending the city the following day. To conclude the day's assault effectively, Naruto had devised a special plan. In his previous environment, there existed a well-known Minecraft mod named Mutant Mobs, which introduced mutant creatures significantly more formidable than the standard game entities. At first, Naruto planned to utilize these mobs as the bosses for each wave. However, he later reconsidered and opted to create something more exceptional, aiming for a grand experience. With a smile on his face, Naruto completed the preparations for the scene he envisioned. He envisioned and departed the town before reappearing. The players had strategically allocated the items they had gathered and were all quite assured for the upcoming wave of monsters. Then, without warning, thunder resonated. Boom! The players were taken aback. Just moments prior, it was still daylight. However, following the thunder, the game transformed into darkness, leaving them with only 2 small white dots visible in the sky. Could you please clarify what that is? It could possibly be 2 stars. However, there are no additional stars, the sky remains clear. I am uncertain. Unexpectedly, the 2 white dots drew nearer, allowing the players to finally discern their true nature. As that, a player inquired with astonishment. That appears to resemble a Steve. A further participant provided their input. However, he does not have a name readily available. A different participant remarked, I understand. It is Herobrine. A player expressed their astonishment vocally. Is Herobrine a real entity? The players expressed their astonishment regarding this matter. As they gazed upward, they observed a figure resembling Steve, characterized by bright eyes devoid of pupils. This aligned precisely with the descriptions of Herobrine they had encountered, as well as the visual elements presented in the video they had viewed. In contrast to players adorned with skins resembling Herobrine, which merely featured white pupils, this particular Herobrine's eyes exhibited a genuine glow. At this moment, an unsettling melody began to play in the background, prompting some players to exhibit signs of nervousness. However, before the situation became overly serious, Herobrine initiated a conversation. This indicates that you are the guardians of the Hypixel. The players became increasingly apprehensive upon hearing this. Herobrine's voice was notably low and filled with various sounds, resembling modulation by a program. However, players understood that such an occurrence was impossible within the confines of Minecraft, leading them to believe that it was truly a voice from hell. It is unfortunate that numerous ants are sacrificing themselves to defend my city. However, rest assured that once I dismantle this, I will construct an even more impressive city. Herobrine stated with an unsettling smile. However, your presence may not be appreciated. He shouted, resulting in another thunderclap echoing from the sky. At this juncture, the players exhibited significant apprehension, with some even relinquishing their swords due to the fear of confronting this adversary. At that moment, the sky began to brighten once more, prompting a frown from Herobrine. Please, brother, you are aware that this is unnecessary. A recognizable voice conveyed a sense of sorrow. A number of players experienced confusion as they recognized the voice but were unable to recall its source. They were taken aback upon observing another figure soaring through the sky. Is that Notch? A player shouted. Upon hearing the player's scream, it became evident to the other players that it was indeed Notch soaring through the sky. The majority of players were familiar with Notch and held him in high regard, as he consistently offered assistance to others. Even those who had never interacted with him were aware of his reputation through their peers. However, there was considerable confusion regarding Notch's ability to fly, as no player in Hypixel had the capability to do so, except during the build battle mode. He is indeed the creator of this world. A composed, amiable voice remarked to himself, a content smile gracing his features. The silence in the area allowed all the other players to hear it as well, leading to their shock at this revelation. The identity of Minecraft's creator remained a mystery, with some individuals speculating that it was Notch. However, this notion lacked widespread belief. However, witnessing him soaring in the sky at this moment served as the most compelling evidence they could have. Is it true that Notch is the creator of Minecraft? Players expressed their surprise once more. What was the reason behind him referring to Herobrine as his brother? Shortly, this question emerged in the minds of all, yet Herobrine shouted furiously, obstructing that thought from the player's consciousness. Please be quiet. I would appreciate it if you refrain from using that term in the future. Herobrine expressed his frustration vocally, and additional lightning began to manifest, resulting in the sky darkening once more. However, Notch emitted a sorrowful sound and repelled the darkness once again. You will forever hold the title of my brother. Notch expressed his sorrow vocally. Please address the issue with these ants. Herobrine expressed his fury as he summoned numerous rays to descend from the sky. Upon the occurrence of lightning strikes, numerous zombies would emerge and hastily make their way into the city. The players quickly recognized the situation and began to take measures to protect themselves. Brothers, protect Hypixel. We must take action to prevent Herobrine from causing any harm to our city. Ned shouted with authority, prompting all the players around him to rally together as they charged towards the monsters with determination in their eyes. The players recognized that Notch and Herobrine possessed a more intricate narrative and were eager to uncover it. However, the monster attack necessitated their immediate action to protect the city. Boom! A significant beam collapsed, resulting in the destruction of several surrounding blocks. A formidable zombie with significant musculature emerged in that location. Zombie. Eliminate. The zombie charged forward with an unsettling intensity, swiftly eliminating every player in its trajectory. Notch and Herobrine started battling it out in the sky, gradually drifting away from the city as their fight continued. Players were buzzing with excitement, giving it their all in the game. Meanwhile, in a quiet city in Brazil, an American guy was taken aback as he watched a livestream on his phone. As that, a Hulk. Dr. Bruce Banner couldn't believe his eyes as he watched the mutant zombie going after the players. Once, Notch and Herobrine were out of sight, Naruto made Notch's body vanish and turned invisible again. He set up the game so that every few minutes, a thunder sound would blast from where they emerged, making players believe there was an epic battle happening over there. Then he just flew back to the city, all calm and invisible. As he flew back to town, Naruto glanced at the crowd of spectators watching this unfold. Ned the King has 72,145 viewers tuning in. Shuri 37,484 viewers. Crawler has 9,526 viewers. Opening square bracket ... When the event kicked off, there were 20,000 Minecraft players, and now we've got 70,000 players defending the city. It's likely that the players who weren't in the game were tuning into the live streams, which has really helped Minecraft streamers climb the Twitch rankings. This, in turn, is attracting even more viewers to the player streams, creating a snowball effect with more and more people getting involved, drawn in more folks. Naruto glanced over at Crawler's livestream comments, intrigued by what everyone was chatting about. Wow, is this a movie that shows different perspectives on each livestream? This is awesome. It's even better than the movie I watched in the cinema today. I'm inviting my girlfriend over to hang out and watch some Minecraft. So, in this livestream, the movie character is a frontline warrior, huh? Are those livestreams above really just people from the command line? This is so amazing. I've never seen a movie like this before. It looks like Herobrine and Notch might be brothers. This plot is just amazing. The folks in this town always thought Notch was just your average Joe, but then they discovered he's actually a god hiding in plain sight. Naruto felt a bit puzzled while going through these comments. Do these folks really think this is a movie? He was left wondering, unsure of what to do next. That was until a few comments popped up to clarify what was going on. Everyone, just so you know, this isn't a movie, it's a PC game. Anyone can jump into this story and team up with these folks. They're all players, so just search for Minecraft on Steam. Everyone, just a heads up, this isn't a movie, it's a PC game. If you're interested, you can join in on this story and team up with everyone. They're all players, so just check out Minecraft on Steam. A livestream moderator was the one who commented on this, and they had to send the message a few times in the chat so that viewers could catch it. Kurt asked the moderator to fill the audience in on what was about to go down while he concentrated on the battles. Since he was on Team 01, he couldn't help but stay focused on the action. After hearing those comments, viewers were taken aback and rushed to check out Minecraft on Steam to see if it was really true. As soon as they realized it was actually a game, they jumped right in and handed over the $20 to join in on the fun. Most games were priced around $60 to $70, so when they saw Minecraft looking so great for just $20, they jumped at the chance without a second thought. Naruto quickly realized that the Minecraft sales were skyrocketing, likely due to all the livestreams happening. This made him really happy. He really aimed to make this event all about boosting the game's popularity and drawing in a ton more players. Naruto took another look at Crawler's stream and noticed that while battling the mutant zombie, there were two really skilled players working together seamlessly. Wolverine and Sabretooth. If it were before he figured out which world he was in, Naruto might have just thought these two players were really good friends who had been training together for ages. But now that he knows this is the Marvel Universe, he's already pieced together who these two players really are. He was still surprised by the synergy they had and how well they worked together in battle. Even though he could hear them cursing and mocking each other while they took on the boss, Naruto was aware that they had been fighting side by side for at least 100 years. They knew each other so well that they could cooperate in battle without even thinking about it. Do you think Minecraft could be what brings these two brothers closer? Naruto smiled as he closed Kurt's livestream, lost in thought. The mutant zombie Naruto created was way tougher and more powerful than the mod from his old world, so players found themselves battling for nearly 2 hours until the zombie was nearly finished off. But the less life the zombie had, the stronger it became, which just made the battle even tougher. You know, if it weren't for Logan and Victor in this battle, it probably would have taken twice as long. But Naruto realized it was time to wrap things up. It was better to finish this battle before everyone got tired or bored. After all, it was just a game. Right before Mutant Zombie kicked the bucket, Naruto summoned Notch to his side and then went back to pretending to be Herobrine. Notch, I'll be back, and next time I'll have a way stronger army. Herobrine shouted, clutching his seemingly hurt arm, catching the players' attention. They couldn't help but grin with satisfaction at the sight of Notch emerging victorious. Suddenly, a loud thunder rolled in and swallowed up the mutant zombie, making it vanish just like Herobrine did. All that was left were the smaller, weaker zombies, which quickly met their end shortly after. The players erupted in cheers of joy when they realized they had successfully defended Hypixel. But before long, that happiness fell apart when they glanced up. Cough. Notch stood tall, his confidence evident as he gazed at the spot where Herobrine had vanished. Suddenly, he coughed up a significant amount of blood and swiftly soared to the top of one of the buildings encircling the square. The players stood still, taking in the scene before them. They knew just how powerful Herobrine was and all the crazy things he could pull off. But with Notch returning so confidently, they figured everything was going to be alright. But when they saw Notch cough up blood, they just froze in shock. Looks like this battle didn't turn out too great. Soon, Notch said with a weary tone. Everyone, he's way stronger than I expected. Cough cough, this fight has really taken a toll on me, and I'm starting to think I might not be able to handle him the next time he shows up. For now, I'm cool with you all bringing armor to Hypixel to get ready for the next battle. Make sure to call your friends for help, or else I have a feeling we might lose our city. Notch mentioned something before he collapsed on the roof of the building, out of sight from the players. Then, he turned invisible and vanished. Naruto was up in the sky, completely invisible, taking in the show as he watched Notch perform and saw how the players reacted. Seeing the players feeling down, Naruto couldn't help but smile. Absolutely, that's exactly what I need. Feel scared and get some help. He was feeling really excited. So, here's the scoop. Hypixel faced a serious attack, and sadly, thousands of residents lost their lives in the chaos. But despite all that, the brave citizens of Hypixel pulled together and defended their city from the monsters that came their way. Heimdall felt a bit puzzled when he saw a Midgardian woman sharing the news about what was going on in her world. Heimdall had this incredible ability to see everything, even the very act of creation. But to keep from getting overwhelmed by all that information, he decided to focus on just watching the Asgardians as they traveled to other worlds. Sure thing. To keep things interesting, Heimdall would occasionally check out other civilizations and have a blast discovering new and fascinating things. Heimdall had a bit of a fascination with television, especially the Midgardian news channel. It was a great way for him to keep up with all the important happenings on that planet without having to put in too much effort. Today, Heimdall found himself a bit puzzled by what he came across on the Midgardian news. So, did a war actually happen? Wait, a city got invaded and thousands of Midgardians lost their lives. That's just heartbreaking. Heimdall looked around the planet, feeling a bit confused, as he tried to make sense of what the woman was saying on the news, but nothing seemed to match up. This is kind of strange. Could this be incorrect information? Just so you know, this battle happened in a game called Minecraft. There's this game that's really taking off globally. In fact, during the attack on Hypixel City today, a bunch of stores around the world actually closed up shop so their owners could jump in and defend the city they love. How cool is that? Heimdall raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised by what he was seeing. On TV, the Midgardian was displaying a bunch of battle images, and even though they had a bit of a weird square look to them, Heimdall couldn't really tell much difference between those images and what was actually happening. Based on what he gathered from the Midgardian's explanation, it seemed like this technology was way ahead of its time on this planet. It let Midgardians jump into another dimension and battle without the fear of dying. Heimdall was really shaken up. The more he listened to this Midgardiana talk about the game and its impact on Midgard, the more he realized how serious things were getting. He knew he had to let All-Father know right away. So, you know what's funny? Heimdall tried to use his vision to check out this other dimension called Minecraft, but guess what? He couldn't see it at all. So, you know how Heimdall kept an eye on Bifrost for thousands of years? Well, it turns out there was never anything he couldn't see across all 9 realms. And now he realized there was another dimension out there, but he couldn't see a thing from it. It's possible that in this dimension, there are some really powerful enemies just biding their time, waiting for the right moment to strike Asgard. And until a few minutes ago, they didn't even know this dimension existed. Before heading to report to All-Father, Heimdall kept an eye on the news to soak up as much info as he could, and then he stumbled upon something that left him even more stunned. Heimdall spotted 2 unfamiliar gods in the videos shared by the Midgardian woman. Not much is clear about why the battle in Hypixel happened, but players have pieced together that Minecraft was created by 2 brothers, Notch and Herobrine. Something went down between them that made Herobrine furious with Notch, leading him to want to eliminate all humans and claim Hypixel for himself. Luckily, Notch took on Herobrine while the folks in Hypixel handled the toughest monsters. But from what Notch has shared with the players, the battles ahead are going to be even more challenging. As the person leading our newspaper's culture board, I suggest that anyone looking for a bit of adventure should grab Minecraft. It's a great way to have some fun with the family, and you might just find yourself enjoying a few hours of gameplay together. Heimdall missed the part where Midgardiana was saying it was just a game and more of a cultural tip for Midgardians. He was too busy being blown away by the epic showdown between Notch and Herobrine, and honestly, he had goosebumps all over. At one point, he found himself picturing a showdown with those 2 gods. More often than not, he couldn't even see how he could possibly make a dent in their power. Just a tiny part of their fight had already wrecked dozens of houses, and even thunder, something only Thor, the Prince of Asgard, was supposed to wield, was being unleashed in the chaos. Did they have the power to take gods away? Or maybe I should just use deities from other gods. It's super important, and I really need to let the All-Father know what's happening so he can get ready for a possible battle. Heimdall was set on his mission and swiftly departed from Bifrost after quite a while, making his way to Odin's palace. Heimdall was feeling pretty scared of Notch, Herobrine, and especially the whole Minecraft dimension. Meanwhile, Naruto, the creator of it all, was just chilling in front of his computer, watching Ned's livestream and sipping on a milkshake. He had no idea that the event he planned was making such a big splash in the world and even in other worlds. Right now, all he cared about was selling more copies of Minecraft and racking up those gaming points to work on his next game. Just like he thought it would be, this event turned out to be a big deal, leading to Minecraft selling tens of thousands of copies in just the first few hours. And you can bet that number will probably keep climbing as more people hear about it. This milkshake is so delicious. I'm really happy I gave it a shot today. Naruto said with a smile as he sipped his milkshake while lounging in the chair, completely unaware that several world leaders were deep in an important discussion because of the game he played. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'm thrilled you watched the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for even more exciting content coming your way soon.